She works. Do you want to sit up? I have
I still have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, I know.
What's going on back there?
So this way you can water unseen.
Right? There's a.
Good evening, everyone. All right, if we're gonna laugh, we gotta share.
Of course, I'm Julie. Oh, sorry.
You're fine. Thank you all for being here this evening. If you are able, actually, real quick, I'm still gonna welcome people. Thank you, Matt, for being here this evening. We appreciate our fine officers and security guards being here each week with us or each month with us. I do appreciate that. Now, if you are able, let's stand and have a pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Because you're saying the pledge. All good things.
All right. Moving on to item number 4. I'm with the numbers tonight. Item number 4 is adoption of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to
Perfect.
adopt the agenda.
Anyone have anything to take off the agenda first? Perfect. Motion on the floor. Second.
I was second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Number 5 is call to the public. Ms. Massey, do we have any cards for call to the public? Fantastic. Anyone else would like to speak? Didn't fill out a card? Just plugging along then. Item number 6 is our information and discussion items. And before we get into all of them, I believe, Ms. Wolf, you would like to do a volunteer recognition.
Yes, I would. So, our transportation department has had not enough bus drivers and helpers, so we asked our wonderful staff here at the district office if they would like to help, and everybody volunteered to help out and go to dispatch. And we all learned very quickly how to be dispatchers, and I really appreciate all of their hard work and dedication and our stories and our laughter afterwards, because some of us had never been dispatchers before and some had.
Pretty much all of us.
Yeah. I think Charlie was the only one that's actually done that. So like to go ahead and call forward Cheyenne.
And so Lori's here from the foundation. The foundation sponsored the goodies in the bag, the stickers in there as brand ambassador. So you have to read what's on the thing though.
Cheyenne, base to over, what does that mean? Yeah.
Because Heidi was a participant. I was not, because even though I'm in the district office, in my pre-K office, I don't ever know what's going on. So Heidi, now you have a retirement plan.
Yes, I do.
Shelley, way to model our together. John, Transco is my middle name. Hillary, thank you for being an amazing volunteer at Transco. Rhonda, thank you for being helpful you.
Rhonda's not, he couldn't be here tonight, but we'll get to her. These are all our district office staff who you never get to see too.
Charlie, way to dispatch.
That's our only experience.
Mirza, thanks for keeping our kids safe.
She could answer the Spanish phone calls.
Christina, you're amazing, but we already knew that. Leanne, who knew the bus barn could be so fun?
Leanne had the best stories.
And Julie, maybe I will get my CDL. And Cindy, who said she didn't want one and tried to hide it, you are appreciated too. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That's amazing. I think all of you know I work for the town, and our motto is one town, one team. And I just want to say that if that's not the epitome of one district, one team, I don't know what is. So good job.
They've been awesome. And you guys can go home.
Or you can stay and listen to us.
Or stay, it's up to you.
All right. So then we will go ahead and go with our Human Resources and Health Office update. Who is going first?
I'm going first because Catherine's too humorous and I can't follow that.
Good.
Alrighty, so for our effective staff, on the next slide, we have highly qualified and highly qualified, certified, and classified staff. Currently, we have all of our teaching positions have been filled, and I gave you some data on that where people are in process of getting their. It's on the screen. I didn't give you guys a copy. Sorry about that. So, anyways, so at territorial we have 29. 2 are in process of finishing. And then, so we, out of the total of 31 teachers, Del Rio, 25 are in process. That means that they're either finishing up their certificate right now, maybe they need take a couple of tests, or they'll be done by the end of the year. And then at Heritage, we have 4. And one we have is just a substitute. We're trying to talk him into actually going into like Teachers of Tomorrow or getting his degree with NAU. So we have somebody we're talking to, a former student of ours. And then at the high school, we have 8, but 4 of them will probably be done by December because they're wrapping up with their process. And the other 2 or 3 from that 8 will be done by June. And then we have one that'll be 1 more year in her program. But they all have certificates and they are in process, sub-certs, alternate teaching certs, other items. So it just gives you an idea where we're at. Most of them were ones that started last year. It's not, because we have a couple in there in process because ADE is now updating their certification system and their reciprocity is kind of like on hold. But they have teaching certs from other states and we're just waiting for that to be processed. They're a little bit slow. Yeah. Alrighty, and then we attended the 2024 Prescott Valley Job Fair, Shelley and I, and we've got 1 bus aid out of it, which to us is a win because a lot of times we go and we do not get 1 person. And we found that that particular job fair, we had a lot more people who were actually looking for jobs and were interested. We talked to more people, so we hopefully they'll be looking at our website for other positions. And then also we're just continuing to monitor and adjust our classified positions, always looking for paraprofessionals, it seems like, and bus drivers. And that's our focus, that list there, because we also need classified subs, a bus aides, classified subs, substitute custodians, maintenance 1, and coaching, wrestling, and softball. We might have a softball coach, so I'm really excited. And then one of the things that we do in the department is we make sure that we update all of the teachers' information applications called TIA, and we go in and make sure everybody that we put in there, fingerprints are up to date, certifications up to date. We do that annually and update again in January and with the years of service they have. Next, we have retention of staff. And even though we do that everywhere, we really focus on as a district recognizing our staff members monthly, quarterly, like tonight, the ladies who've helped out in dispatch. In order to be fair and consistent, we've updated our cell phone and time clock procedures because we want to make sure that everybody's following the rules and also that we're not missing out on people that should be reimbursed for a cell phone because they're on call, and they need to be done. We also attended online the A.R.S. annual conference, and that's helping us give up-to-date information regarding retirement to our staff. And then the last 2 days, I just came back from the Title IX training in Flagstaff. I'll have more information on that. But just keeping us up to date, in compliance, and able to protect our staff, our students within Title IX. And then we're always looking at, Shelley's going to the Arizona School Personnel Association conference in November. We always get great ideas from that. And we're constantly monitoring staff certification and IVP cards. and updating just and putting policies and procedures in place to ensure consistency and fairness. And then on our next slide, updating salary schedules and job descriptions. Last month, we completed the Human Resources Department. I'm currently working on transportation and the principals and assistant principals. Hopefully I'll have those two for you next month. And then I'm kind of going, I'm trying to do 2 a month. That's my goal. Sometimes that happens and doesn't, but we want to make sure we're paying everybody fairly and consistent with salaries within this area. And then the next slide, updating job evaluations. We did the Director of Athletics evaluation, and I'm working on the coaching and staff for HMS and CVHS. That should be on next month's board meeting. And then principals, assistant principals should be on December. So I'm trying to take a little chunk at a time and work my way through that with the help of Shelley. And lastly, any questions?
Sounds like you're busy.
Yes, everybody's busy.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, that means a lot. And now I'll let the humorous person.
As funny as the health office can be.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Mine's pretty short.
This is Catherine Berner.
Yeah.
I'm Catherine Berner, I'm the district nurse. So the biggest thing that we're trying to get going, and today is day 2, is the Medicaid reimbursement. Both Misty Aguilar is the RN over at Territorial and myself, we attended a training in September on the system that we are going to use to submit billing, basically where we document what we've done. And so we both attended that training. And then for October, we're going to be completing hearing screens. The state requires that we do hearing and vision screens for every child receiving special services, but they also require grade level screenings. So we have most of the vision screenings done, most of the grade level vision screenings done, and then we need to get our hearing screenings done. That's really important because obviously if a child is not hearing well, then they are not learning well. So that is one thing that the grade level screenings are for. And then for the district, so far as the business office, it's a pool of revenue that could be relatively sizable based off of student population that is Medicaid eligible. They don't necessarily have to have special services as part of their individual education plan. So that is brand new. I will have to have another update for you because right now it's just an idea. So we'll be doing that in October. The end of October, we should have all of the grade levels done, just so you guys know. Every student in Chino Valley has that's enrolled with us in public schools in Arizona. First entry into school, no matter what age, they have to have a hearing and vision screen. And then kinder, if that's not their first entry into school, they have to have a hearing and vision screen. And then first grade, they get a hearing screen. Third grade, they get hearing and vision. 5th grade, they get hearing and vision. 7th grade, they get hearing and vision. 9th grade, they get hearing. So these kids get screened a lot. And hopefully with all of that, we rule out any kind of deficit so far as their vision or hearing goes. So that's a big job that we do in the health office. And hopefully now that the state will allow us to submit Medicaid reimbursement for that, we can bring some money back into the district. So that's on that. The other goal that I had at the beginning of the year was to increase our staff participation in wellness events. So in September, on September 18th, we had a staff vaccination clinic and it was at every campus. It's open to all staff and to no cost if you are a subscriber to the district insurance policy. So I have data from them. It's not broken down by person, so I don't actually know how many staff members participated, but they did administer 70 vaccinations total. So there were 5 options that people could get. That's not going to represent individual people because some people could have gotten more than one shot, but 70 vaccinations were administered. Flu, the pneumococcal, which is really important for anybody in the 55 plus range, especially because in schools we tend to like to spread our respiratory viruses around. COVID vaccination was offered. It is not required. And RSV is a brand new one, and that's something that affects older individuals, 65 plus, but also newborns. So this is a respiratory virus that this is a brand new vaccination that I'm very happy about because it is in the same vein as the other upper respiratory tract infections, that there are certain demographics that this can be life-threatening, and infants. So if you are vaccinated, then infants aren't going to get it, but now we can actually vaccinate infants, and then the older population. And then shingles and MMR. And since we have 5 confirmed cases of measles in Arizona, one of them was here in Yavapai County, being able to offer the MMR, that's measles, mumps, rubella, to our staff. Again, respiratory viruses, we love to share them, especially in classrooms with littles. And so being able to offer that to our staff members, I'm hoping that we have fewer illnesses. That's the whole point of vaccinations. So those are my 2 things. Any questions?
A quick question. When you talked about the Medicaid reimbursement, is that to our staff who administers those tests, or to the parents of the children who, get tests, hearing and vision testing?
So the funds actually come back to the school. So it comes to the district. It's, I work for the district. If I do a service and the Medicaid reimbursement, it comes back to my employer. Yeah, so those monies will go to John Livingston, not personally.
The John Livingston Retirement Fund.
Yes. No.
Okay, well, that's good. So we actually are getting reimbursed for the time we were spending doing these testing, in other words.
Correct. That's the goal. Like I said, it started this quarter. So yesterday was the first day we could start submitting reimbursement. So we haven't recouped any money yet, but that's what we're hoping will happen.
Great.
It
Thank you.
applies to therapies and other things as well. And our rough estimate was that it could bring about $250,000 into the district annually.
And the reason I focused on hearing screens was because there's lots of things that happen with individual students, and there's a lot of things that happen in the world of special services, but hearing and vision screens happen to so many children in the general population that if this works out how we have planned, because it hasn't actually happened yet, but if it works out how we have planned, this is a significant source of revenue for the district, as long as it's a registered nurse performing this screening. So you don't have to be a nurse to perform the screening, but you have to be a registered nurse to be able to bill for the screening.
We've had a significant uptick in special services related therapies and testing. Occupational therapy, for example, jumped $64,000. And because we have so many students, special needs students who require OT, this is a way for us to help recoup some of those costs. Our special ed portion of the budget consumed about $1.4 million in spending last year. So this is a way to help offset that. So I cannot say enough good things. So Christina, who's sitting out there, who was a great dispatcher, who also does our food service ordering stuff, and our food service program, half of her job is to do a lot of the computer interface with reporting and billing to help get the money flowing into the district. So it's a way to help us cover increased costs.
So that you guys know, I personally did over 1,400 hearing screens last year, and that's pretty average. I mean, that's how many students the state requires that we screen, not the number, but the grade levels. So once you get through all those grade level screenings, it's about 1,400 students, give or take. But that's annually, because as kiddos come up, they get screened.
I didn't realize the importance of screening, to be completely honest. And then when my oldest boy, we didn't know, couldn't see out of one of his eyes till he was in school and they caught it. And we went in and got it, fixed right away because he had to wear a patch and stuff. But I never even knew because he just compensated, never complained about it. But if it wasn't for the school testing for it, we wouldn't have known.
And that's why these programs that's why legislatures work hard to get these programs to be so robust, because kids are very good at just making do with what they've got. And so in the school setting, we're not diagnosing by any means. We are just screening. So it lets parents know, hey, there's something that's not working well enough that it could impact what's happening in the classroom. And then I wanted, just thinking about that, I am part of the National Association of School Nurses, and they partner with VSP, who's actually our vision insurance provider. But because of that association, I get vouchers every year. I can have up to 25 vouchers, and it covers an exam and then any prescription that would be necessary for kiddos at no cost to the family. And it's good for a year. So that's, again, with our demographic having a lot of kiddos that qualified for Medicaid, that's just one more thing that we can do. And with hearing, we have the co-op with ASDB. They actually have an audiologist that will come in and do full evaluations. So Chino and the schools in Arizona have a pretty good setup on getting kids screened and then supporting the families to get the evaluations they need to come up with a diagnosis to get treatment.
She's great at her job, by the way.
You can guess that.
She is great.
Yeah. Anything else? Perfect. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, guys.
All right, item 6B is our superintendent's report, Ms. Daniels.
Okay, what I did this month, since it was a really short month in between board meetings, I asked everybody, instead of filling out their forms, just to shoot me an email with some great stuff that's going on, maybe things they're still working on. And I just put it in a long thing for you instead of having them do the chart, because it was such a short month. And we are missing administrators this evening because we have conferences going on in some of the schools. So that's why it's kind of thin in the room tonight too with admin. So a couple things I wanted to highlight is the thing that we started with tonight, recognizing brand ambassadors. And, the important tenets that we identified on that May 29th workday, that we have schools that are safe for students and staff, that we work together, and that students leave Chino Valley Unified School District prepared to meet the future, whether it's workforce or continued education. So I have been asking folk to nominate people who they think represent the brand, and we have been pushing those out through social media. So Kevin Schoenfeld was the very first one, and Debbie Golden had nominated him, a fellow employee. His photo appeared. Then our IT staff was the next round. We didn't take pictures tonight because the ladies would have been like, don't you dare put my picture on social media. So, but I might sneak some other, maybe they're badge photos. No.
I don't know.
So anyway, we're doing that to really recognize and promote the schools. And I wanted to tell you something. I had a community member stop me today and say, there is a huge difference in Chino Valley Unified School District. and everybody's talking about it. And this is someone who's a business person in our community, and I was like, really? He said, yes, and especially the stuff they're seeing on social media traffic has been great. It's been positive. Seeing what we're doing, he said, it's really made people feel positive about the district. So I thought that was kind of cool. So the other thing I wanted to point out is that our staff of the quarter, we're still doing that recognition. Donna from Jed's is sponsoring that. And one of the group that I really want to point out, they're from Brandy School. Two of our autism program employees were nominated for Employee of the Quarter, a teacher and a parapro. And that was Holly DeFreitas and Remington Weatherhead. And they were both just shocked to be nominated. And they are knocking it out of the park in that program. I would say you could come visit it, but don't, because when we go in the room and it's like triggering for the kids. It upsets the beautiful balance in there. At Del Rio is Kylie Gomez, who's an extended resource teacher, and Kira Moody, who's one of our English language learner teachers. At Heritage Middle School, it's Kim Range, who is language arts teacher and our athletic director at Heritage. Raymond Aguilar, who is our new behavior coach there. Riley Davidson, who's one of Brian's employees in CTE. She supports students with all of the online component with their CTE classes and registration with the college and all that stuff. And then Jenny Gabinger, our band director, and our district employee right there was Christina. She is like the trifecta of awards tonight. We are so proud of these people. It really has been wonderful. Academic accomplishment that Julie submitted that I would like to highlight is that our Spanish-speaking parent nights have been a success. This evening is, in partnership with Chino Valley Education Foundation, we are offering English as a second language classes for our Spanish-speaking parents. Mike's wife, Wendy, and Meg, a former Chino Valley teacher, are leading that. We had 13 pre-registrations going into tonight's info night. So we are providing childcare, and the foundation is paying for the materials and the snacks and the time for the ladies who are preparing it. So I wanted to point that out, that they are off and running with that this evening. Ed Moody, even though he's not here tonight, I think he really made sure he got the message to you, Mike. He reported lots of data from their quarterly benchmarks in here, and Del Rio is showing growth across the board, which is pretty exciting. So that's all in here.
I did notice that.
It's great.
But there is something that I got to point out.
Point it out, especially because Ed's not here.
Really, exactly. Let's look under fourth grade. Second item. I think that's mathematically impossible, but
55% have made growth. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Up from
academically,
70. Yeah.
up from 70.
Well,
Right, yeah.
Up from 70.
it's new math, Mike.
I missed that, didn't I? So it's,
We'll give them a bad time for you.
exactly. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Heritage reported that Mrs. GB and the Heritage Arts teacher, they are consistently submitting rigorous lesson plans, sharing their knowledge with the staff and department. And her weekly lessons were used by the principal as an example for how to implement all of the strategies they learned at the training. So Heritage is really working hard on their academic rigor this year. At Chino Valley High School, I wanted to point out that Eric Rudnick, who is our educational technology coach and IT person from Territorial, he did a training at the high school about all the ways to maximize using their smart technology in the classroom. And our instructional coach there is doing monthly mini lessons as well. So they're hitting PD every single month, really trying to knock that out of the park. In our special ed department, one thing that Nicole did not report, but she shared with me, is that we have had a significant spike in very high needs students. Randy can attest to that. A lot of them are at our school. Last month, you guys approved adding that additional teacher for our autism program. And how many at Brandy School alone, how many students in our 2 classroom program? 14. Last year we had 6.
Yeah.
So I wanted to also say in career technical ed, Brian presented that the teachers are using their pacing guides and their scope and sequence to help them keep track of the standards they're accomplishing with their kids. In IT, we have rolled to our mass Cisco Duo deployment. So if you're having trouble getting into your district email or anything, Larry Fulmer will work with you on the new 2-factor authentication. I know some of you maybe haven't done that with him yet, so he'll help you with that. And then Chris is here. Not only did he have the light bulbs in here replaced so we can see today without the romantic lighting, that we've gone to T8 fluorescents. We removed them all at the parking lot at the high school and replaced them with the LED. So that's a cost savings and they are much brighter. I can almost see them from my house, truthfully. And he has submitted rebates to APS for 10 HVAC units so far, right? He is knocking it out of the park with the rebates. So far, over 30,000, is that, I think, what we've asked for so far?
30,000 come back from HMS right now. The 10 I just submitted for this building, the band and sports, and the 2 on the back of the high school gym.
So he's doing a great job trying to help us recoup some of those costs. One of the questions I've been asked, a lady from Channel 15 called and asked, do we think that it's going to cost us a lot more money now because we have HVAC, and I'll use her words, and global warming? And I was like, I don't know. We don't know yet, right? Because we're only like 45% of the way done with the project. And we run it most in like August this year, September. Why it's so hot, I have no idea. And then April and May. So yes, we'll have an uptick in costs. Chris applying for the rebates will help offset some of that. But right now, John, I don't think we have good data on increased APS bills yet.
It's a little murky. We do see the high school gym, the East Gym, has had a slight increase. That's the only one that we've been able to really like just year over year see a little increase, but we don't think we're going to go over there and flick the lights here.
I did do a report on May for the first year of May at Del Rio. I did a report for the swamp coolers. I did for May with the AC units. And I'm waiting for this next year because the economizers will be fully affected. So I'll have the 3 years, see what the difference is. But from the swamp cooler in the first May and then the second May with the AC units actually went up 3,000. So, but with the economizers, that should drop that down tremendously. I had to show APS, HMS to get that 30,000. We did a site visit there, and it was 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. Not one AC unit was running because we're running the economizers at night when it's 50 degrees outside. I'm pulling that cold air in, subcooling the building, and not one AC unit was running during the day. So it is helping. So there should be a huge difference come to the next bill.
So is it increasing? It's net, the whole story's yet to be told. So you heard Catherine's good update about the MIPS billing and about her second RN. For Transpo, we are doing classroom training with a new driver. Yay! So we will be minimally staffed, but fully staffed in Transpo the Monday after break, which is why we all think that we're not going back to being dispatching after break. So.
Well, it sounds like you guys did a great job.
Oh, no, it was hysterical when I'm
You're
like,
trained now,
Transpo, this is Cindy. They're like, wait, what? I thought I dialed I'm like, you did. So in HR, I wrote this, she found a bus driver. She really found a bus aide. And the Title IX training, we can't say enough good about that because it's required now. Someone has to be trained. And then we're going to take a little field trip in just a second. We received a large emergency response trailer from Findlay Toyota that was a 100% donation. And starting next week, they're going to be dismantling the inside of it to make sure it's insulated so we can get a roof unit on there for heating and cooling, probably just cooling. we'll be working on getting the generator for it. We're in the process of gathering all of the input from administrators, from our district safety consultant, about all the kinds of things that should be in the trailer. And then Matt Santos is helping us work with Dignity Health to, hopefully they'll pay for a new wrap for the trailer. It's a good thing we're not quite approved yet because we can't figure out what we want to put on it. But it's for two things. If we have an emergency on a campus, that we could pull it to that other campus and have everything we need in it to respond to an emergency situation. Whether we're, having parents come because we have like a water main broke or, something like that. Or whether we need to evacuate students and have an off-campus, off-site reunification. Everything would be in there that we need to run that effectively. Or Mike would remember, he was in the district at the time, second to last day of school in 2008. We had 3 of our buses had an accident with each other and a vehicle at 4 North and 89, and it was at highway speed in those days, 65. And the first bus hit a truck, second bus hit the first bus, third bus hit the second bus. And one thing we really learned that day was without a way to mobilize district emergency resources, people were rushing the scene, they were taking their kids, we didn't know who'd been on what bus. We didn't know who had injuries that needed to be transported. The helicopter was coming in for students and one of our drivers, and it was chaotic, and we couldn't manage the scene effectively. And so we've learned lots of things since then, but we'll be working with the administrative team and our safety consultant to make sure the things are in there that we need. Chris has the vehicle. They'll get the call, they'll hook up and go where we need to go. And I want to say, Miss Julie Bryce, you went with me to get the trailer.
I did.
And
I loved it, and it was very exciting because it's something that Brandy and
no, wait, it gets better. And
what, I cried.
she did.
I thought you were gonna say she got to drive it.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
Oh, you're gonna say you
No, she cried.
It was so nice to finally see something come and be available for us, something that we have dreamt about on the safety team for years. I love that.
So
So is that what we see?
we're going out there, Mike,
Oh,
and we're gonna go look at
the
it.
field
We're
trip.
just gonna take a minute. So I just want to remind you a couple things, safety-wise. On October 22nd, we are having a safety town hall at Heritage Middle School at 6 o'clock. And that is to just introduce the community and parents to all of the things that mean safety to schools. Because it's everything from food served at the right temperature, to air quality, which Chris works on, to emergency responses, to campus perimeter. So we're going to have our first town hall, and then probably for about 3 months, we'll do a monthly session that's more in depth on certain things like reunification, downloading the emergency app for if you have to come and pick up your kid. What would you do and how do you use the app? Things like that. So we're starting that one. The first one is the 22nd, and we'll do a soft post for that in case you guys decide you'd like to come. That'll be in the library at Heritage. I want to, in red big letters, I wrote in here, this is very celebratory. Every campus in the district has had 94% or higher attendance since the first day of school.
That's wonderful.
That's so good. So that is really good. And then I just want to remind you that first quarter comes to an end tomorrow, and schools will be on a much deserved hiatus for a week. It's hard to believe it's gone by. Chris, you have the keys. Shall we go take a look? Oh, sorry.
Before we do that,
Yes.
if I can, Madam President,
Yes, please.
Ms. Daniels takes the responsibility of celebrating everyone else in the district. Who gets the responsibility of celebrating her?
We do. Yes.
So I would like to make a point, bring out something in a report that I wonder if anybody else caught. On the first page, right at the bottom. HMS has filled all teaching positions. I will be arranging my schedule to work with the new hires to help them be successful in the classroom. So is does that imply that you are acting as a coach?
That was Caitlin writing that, not me.
That was me.
Oh, that was
Okay,
Julie.
okay. All right.
So let's give credit
Caitlin.
where credit is to
Where's
Julie.
Caitlin?
Oh, it was Julie.
Who's the I?
It's Julie.
I will be.
So let's, we'll
Okay.
give Julie the
It
credit.
says academics. I have the academics title.
Okay, very
It's Julie.
good.
It's her.
Got it. All
It's
right.
her. You can celebrate her.
However, you are still the leader of all this.
Yeah, whatever.
Holy moly.
Let's go look at the trailer. That's more fun.
Let's
anyway.
go.
Thanks for bringing the trailer over here.
No problem.
Bye.
I wonder how that's gonna look on the Facebook page.
I don't
All of a
know,
sudden,
but-
we all leave. The camera sitting there looking at a blank table.
So do you have any questions about stuff from the report other than me getting credit for stuff I didn't do?
I know, so happy, you know.
Good news.
Yeah.
All good stuff.
That's so cool.
Good
I'm
stuff.
just so excited about that big free trailer.
All right, then moving on to item 6C1, financial reports. Mr. Livingston.
Great. Madam President, members of the board, administration, and staff, just a quick look at the month ended September 30th, 2024. We could say that it's 25% of the fiscal year gone. And that'd be about right. You have a little bit of a lighter month in July, so it's not a true measure of a fully loaded month's worth of expenses, but we come in right at 22% of our budget spent in the first quarter, 4.2 million spent on a budget of 19.3 million in our operating fund. The capital fund, a little bit of history on our capital fund last year. Capital fund was 2.3 million, actually 2,330,000. We spent 1.4 million on that. This year, everything pretty well fell in half for capital. Now the budget's not 2.3 million, it's 1.1. Our goal is to come in just under 700,000 if we can, which is half of the 1 million. They're just a little tight for different reasons we might get into.
John, is that because you transferred Emmett to M&O last year?
We did transfer some back last year, and that's why in the 24 year, our M&O budget did hit 20 million.
Yeah.
For 3 years, we did faithfully transfer budget capacity and cash from M&O budget over to our capital fund to kind of just leave it there. And then when we knew that all the federal programs were leaving, all the COVID money was gone, then we would transfer that back, and then the folks that were getting paid in COVID would have kind of a soft landing. Yes, we did that, and now those days are kind of over now. So now it's capital budget went down from 2.3 million to 1.1.
So this would be more normal going forward.
In fact, the capital budget going forward may live off of very little carryover from 1 year to the next, and then just take the new money that comes in and stay with it. For years, the district didn't have more than 300,000 in capital because it wasn't fully funded. There was a formula that said we could fund it to this level, and it never got there. So capital really suffered. So great question. Two funds that are in good shape, you could say. Our 010 fund, that's our classroom site fund. That used to be 3 different funds. Now it's just one fund. We have a budget of 1.8 million in there. First quarter, we pay these every quarter. 337,000 spent first quarter. That's a little bit less than a quarter of our budget. And our 691 fund is getting off to a strong start. That's our fund that's putting HVAC on all the buildings. And Progressive Roofing is also doing what they call roof rehabilitation, in addition to following the installation of these 2 and 3 and 5 and 10. And does anyone know how big the air conditioner units are in the East Gym over here in the high school? Aren't they 25-ton units?
Yeah, 225 tons.
2 25-ton units on the East Gym. After they put those penetrations in, another company, Progressive Roofing, comes along and they seal all those, or they're supposed to seal all those penetrations. So there's been no water in the East Gym since those were put on, right?
No. Well, those are actually on the side. It was the wall and
So there's been no water. So that's good. So in addition to the 21 million in funding for the roof units, we've got another 5 million in funding from the state to seal all those penetrations and make sure those are. So here today, we spent 780,000 so far on those projects that are ongoing. And that's overall cash. We started the fiscal year with 6.6 million. Now we're down to 4.4 million for overall cash, all funds. But we know we have to wait until usually the middle to the end of November before those fall property taxes post. And so that's a quick look at the expenditure budgets, main budget funds up till the end of September. Any questions? Take a look at it.
It appears not. How about our student activity fund report, Mr. Livingston?
Great, student activity. We do have great expectations for the new funds that were added at Heritage Middle School. They're working on different fundraisers and different student activity events. At some point, I'm going to have Ms. Gill, our principal, come and make a report on what all those big plans are. In the meantime, current cash is $135,000 in all the student activities funds combined. And we just make sure they're safe and predictable and deposited and secure. And that's really all I have to share with those things. They're very active, our student council advisors.
Good job.
And that's it.
Thank you. All right, next we have our consent agenda. So without seeing anything withdrawn, if we could have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll approve tonight's consent agenda. Can we talk?
Thank you, Marcia. And a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 8A is our, did I miss one? I didn't. Okay, item 8A, personnel report. Ms. Wolf.
Alrighty. So, we have 9 classified changes for this month. One new classified position, or one new classified person. 14 coaches, 1 certified change, and 2 new classified subs, and 76 timesheets.
No supplement tonight?
You know what?
No supplement tonight?
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I just got into town.
Stu's been in Flagstaff at training till like 4:45 today, so.
Anyways, also, that includes the personnel report. Any questions about
Heidi,
anything on the
the
personnel
format
report?
Did you get the
question.
supplement?
For some reason, the position numbers are not down on the left-hand side on this one, so I don't have any questions, but if anybody had a question on a particular person,
Yes, I will.
We need to make the copies real quick.
For everyone? Oh, they didn't get supplements?
No, the supplement, not the supplement.
We're gonna
Shelley
get
did
them
it today. We'll just pause a minute.
I thought you were talking about.
No, I was talking about the supplement. I
sorry.
apologize. And I'll make sure that the numbers are not, they're there
I
for
don't
you.
have any questions, I
Yeah.
just said.
I appreciate
I
that.
like numbers, and stores missing my numbers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it gives us time to look over all of it.
That's right.
Well,
Yes,
Selenium levels, magnesium, calcium, or something.
absolutely.
Very good.
Little biotin, vitamin E.
So we're all gonna go around and tell us what supplements that we.
I think I just shared mine.
Oh, collagen.
Mhm.
That's what's here.
and I'm not injecting anything.
Except flu shots. Thanks, Miss Julie.
You're welcome.
And this one has numbers.
Oh, so there we go.
Well, now we can talk about people.
Oh, you
Now we
asked
can talk
for it?
about numbers.
Numbers.
Oh, see, that's
Numbers
quick.
that might be
Cindy,
people.
you ask for it and all of a sudden they're here, just like that. It's like magic.
Great.
I didn't use them.
Thanks.
So on number 4 with the supplement, we did seek damages for the
Yes.
resignation.
Yep.
Any other comments, questions, or concerns on tonight's personnel report? And supplement? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve tonight's personnel report with supplement.
I will move to approve tonight's personnel report with supplement.
Fantastic, in a second, please.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 8B, ESI substitute pay rate change for retired teachers. Tag team, or which one would you like? Let's go for Ms. Daniels.
So what we're doing is that we're really wanting to make sure that we have enough substitute teachers through our ESI program that have experience, and if they have that experience, that a lot of them do not want to take the summer class because they taught for 25 years, 30 years, and, they want to sub, and we get good reports on subs that usually who have retired. So, what we're asking for is that we get to pay those subs $10 more a day, just as if they had taken the class during the summer. So if they're a sub and they take the class during the summer, they get $10 more. But that doesn't necessarily mean they've ever been in a classroom. So we want to take care of those retirees who want to sub for us and give them that additional $10 because of their experience.
So, let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Is this for retirees only? What if you have someone from, say?
Oh,
that comes up?
any retired former teacher. It can be
Former
from,
teacher period, but not necessarily substitute somewhere else.
Yeah. right, they've taught.
I'm muddying it.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
They're anybody who, we can see that the ASI can see in their resume and they're checking, because they do all the background checks, can, see that they have actually taught and that they are retiring from a teaching career. So they want to be consistent, because I asked for one particular sub and they said, well, what you have to do for one, you really should do for the other, which I think is fair.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so even if it's somebody who's taught out of state,
Okay.
when they do their background check and find out that they taught for 25 years but they want to sub here, they moved out here, we're happy to have them.
So I understand, the fact that it says CUSD retirees, that should be stricken.
Yes.
To make sure the record is
Well,
clear.
the CVUSD retiree pay rate, that's what we're calling it, our pay rate for retirees, but not necessarily, I know it's confusing. Because they're gonna put it out for that, if you come to CVUSD and you're a former teacher, you're retired, you will get $10 more. So
I just want to make sure the record is correct. when
Yes.
they Make the motion as any retired professional
Yes.
educator, there's a ESI.
And the class that they can take during the summer is like classroom management, things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Which hopefully they long mastered.
Okay, I'm gonna throw another one. Do
Uh-huh.
they have to be a retired teacher, or can they just be a teacher that resigned in another district and chose to move to Chino Valley with their husband?
As long as they have
that works at a
teaching
Brooker's?
experience.
I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
just throwing it out
If they
there.
have teaching experience.
Okay,
Yeah, we want.
I don't wanna discourage anyone
I
just
don't
by
want to
a word.
discourage either. Yeah, no, if they've taught before, it just typically we get a lot
Usually
of
retired.
tired.
Got it.
But if they want to, we want them to come here because they know the nuances of being in a classroom and don't make some
Absolutely
of
get
the
it.
mistakes that some people who don't have that experience.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Thank
Yeah.
you. Marcia, any questions?
No, I think this is a great idea because I know what it's like to be a retired teacher.
Gentlemen, any questions? All right, again, seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve item 8B.
Well, I guess as I asked the question, I'll make a motion.
Very good.
I move that we approval of the increasing ESI substitute pay for retired teachers by $10 a day.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, item 9A, approval of annual financial reports for fiscal year 23-24. Mr. Livingston.
Very well, so there's actually 5 reports. The biggest one you're never gonna see is the school by school comparison. If you go in Microsoft Excel from upper left corner, cell A1, cell address A1, down to AJ 200, you're gonna get like 40 times 200, you're gonna get 80,000 of these cells. So I think it's even further than that. So but I have to upload it to the department. It just compares in fact, it even compares student-generated revenues to the expenditures per school. It's really in-depth and it takes 25 hours to do it right because there's Excel formulas and the auditor general makes it. But the 4 that I'd like to highlight, not that school by school one, I upload it tonight and then they know that we've done it. But the 4 that you have in your packet, I'd like to just highlight a little bit. So if you go to the first page, if you want to just kind of go one by one here for a minute. First page, I'd like to just call out some overall numbers. So the M&O budget, 20 million last year. And our expenses, you can see in the lower right corner, 18.8 million on that first page. Expenses. You see classroom site fund, our budget was about 3 million, we spent 1.8. And that's the one that goes strictly to certified staff. And then 610, you don't see the budget there, but it was 2,330,000, we spent 1.4 in capital. Then we just keep marching along. And this is a quick look at just about every analysis you could do on last year's expenditures. Jump page 1, actually, you can see my little, if you got my little numbers on the bottom of the page. Yeah, you see 1 of 10. Skip by that, that just compares the 2 big funds with beginning cash and ending cash, if you want to look at that. Page 2 is our operating budget. From that, it says page 2 of 10. There's 3 columns there on the right, budget, actual, and prior year actual. And then that'd be right over on page 2, it says 2 of 10. And then if you have to go to the far right, you're gonna see budget, then you're gonna see actual, then you're gonna see prior year. So our budget was 20 million even, 20,004,000. Our actual expenditures 18.8, and then the prior year expenses 17,023. So we jumped just about 1.8 million in expenditures last year in M&O. That's page 2 of 10. Jump to page 3. And you kind of have to flip it up because you're kind of back and forth. That's our classroom site fund. There you see the $3 million budget. It always works the same way. You have a budget on the left, an actual in the middle, and then a prior year on the right. 1.8 million spent classroom site. And that's very secure. And that's based on, I believe, 0.6% of sales tax in the state. So that's amazing that we're bringing in that 1.9, 2.1 million per year. Page 4 is capital. And that's just Fund 610. If you want to look at all the categories, you can see, was it student vehicles, was it bus transportation, was it equipment, was it construction? You go to the far right, again, you see the budget actual and prior year. Budget of 2.3, expense of 1.4, prior year, expense of 2 million as well in the 23 year. So then you go down to the middle of the page, and this is what I like to kind of highlight on page 4, capital assets. Between now and November 4th, when our auditors come back, last year I spent about 60 hours with our auditors, just updating our capital assets. About 15 to 20 hours a week for the month of October last year, because they always show up the first week of November. Now we've got a lot of that with the tagging and the appreciating correctly done, so it won't be quite as much time this year. But you see the total number of total value of land and improvements, 1.8 million, buildings and improvements, 28 million. Then furniture, equipment, vehicles, technologies, 3.7 million. That's all our buses included, all of our vehicles. And then construction in progress, 700,000.
That's very HVAC.
Well, it is that, but it was also other projects that, like we had a Del Rio fire alarm put in, and there's other little, like it is HVAC to an extent, but there's other projects that are included in it. Yeah, smaller ones.
More little.
Like the 2 25-ton chillers, 111,000 on the high school gym. We're also getting, well, the 60,000 we put on this year. This year it's done here on this building right here you're in tonight. That was a brand new project for this year. So that's just a little, almost 34 million of assets. And they treat us like we're a business and that we're going to get a depreciation expense on our taxes. We don't get a depreciation. They just want to know where our assets are. You can't deduct expenses like that. So then we go to page 5, 6. We're going to jump a little bit all the way through down to my page, I believe it's 11. And there's a lot of good reading there if you're interested. But page 11 is for President Thomas to sign. That's that little summary page. So if you approve this tonight, you'll all sign on page 1, the cover, so to speak. And then page 11, where I put the little 11 on the lower right, that's where there's a little place up top there for another signature. And then there's a few things that are just to me really meaningful that they just kind of give us an insight here. There's a supplement there. I'm not going to pay much attention to that. But if you take a look at the classroom site fund 010, you see there's a, you just keep going there, you see that on page, it's actually past page 12. And we wrote these, I have Mirza, one of our staff, right on here. So this is page 12, classroom site fund. 117 teachers. Get page 12 and then keep going. It's one more. You're getting real close. And it's written on there for you. So there it is, classroom site. This is what we do with those funds. And you can see the 117 teachers. you turn the page, and again, you have to go upside down. There's lots of goals, individual goals, district goals, and individual school goals, and they're all mentioned. And I think we had 117 goals, and most of the goals were met. So it just gives you a synopsis of the state really, you can imagine back in the day when they had 3 different funds, 011, 012, 013, each one of those had its own annual financial. So I don't mind one bit when they're combined into one. So it just tells you the expenses. The next page is our food service annual financial report, just to take a look. And it shows you, if you go to the lower right corner, it's written there in nice printing. You see that 1,342,000 in the lower right corner of that food service annual financial report. Let's see right here, just a little too far. There it is, the 1,342,000. We have a professional management company that works for us and delivers and provides all our meals, cooks, prepares the whole bit. That was our cost for them last year, 1,342,000. And that was their itemized cost, food, labor, the whole bit, itemized. But the guideline for this report is that if you open your doors July 1st, which this is the 24 year, so the next day is the first year of the 24-25 year, when you open your doors, you should have enough cash in the account to run for 3 months. As if all the federal reimbursements dried up and all the local revenues dried up, you should have enough cash to operate for 3 months, and we do. So we're compliant, and it all stays in that fund. This is a separate fund. A couple more at the end here, just real quick. I'll be brief. This is one I was going over with Member Fogel just before the meeting started. You might have to flip the page. It says Fund Balance Report. That's just about the last one. It's the one before the one with the blue writing. It says Fund Balance. And the board made a motion, I believe in July, when we adopted a 4% fund balance for M&O from 1 year to the next. So if you have a $100 budget in year 1, and you're going to carry 4% forward the next 2, you start the next year with at least 4% of that carried, or in this case, $4 out of 100 carried into the next year. So if you look at our budget, 20 million, 4% of that would be real close to $800,000. And you get to the middle of the page and you see those goals right in the middle. Got my little finger over here. So $186.
76 cents.
And there you go. And we actually brought forward about 300,000 more than that. See that little number to the right, 1,172,000. So that's really good news. We were able last year to reduce and we did some things again at the end of this year with staffing. So we're really cognizant that we have a little bit of a student crunch right now with student numbers. So that's the first fund, M&O fund. The next fund is capital. And that's the one that last year had the $2.3 million budget. And so it's actually 466,000. I'll correct that. 20% of the 2.3 million, 466,000, we brought forward $1,095,000, so almost 1.1 into the capital fund. And we add funds this year, but we've also transferred some to M&O. So that's kind of the way they work. And those meet our goals. You see the target to the left and then the actual amount to the right. And that's a quick look. I think that was 4.5 minutes. That's a quick look at our AFR for last year.
No one
For
was
last
telling
year.
There were no stories
For the
about
24
canoeing
years. This is the
or
last year.
animals.
So these are actual facts right out of our general ledger from last year. And you don't see the big one. You saw the 3 little ones. You saw the classroom site. And we can't forget Mr. Moody. The very last one is the one with the blue letters on it. If you can see, it's a colored. And I think Becky printed the blue letters, because you must have printed that in blue. He's had a fund, Del Rio's had a fund for 4 years now, maybe 5, and been getting around 180,000 a year for results-based funding. And we've been able to bankroll a little bit of that and put it aside. And we got no funds last year at all. But because we had a little bit of set aside, he was able to spend that 105,000 in the middle. And now when we started this year, that fund went down to 16,000. So the state is not funding that.
Correct. They defunded it.
But that's my last of the 5 AFR. And that's it. Look at last year.
So I've got a question relative to the classroom site fund.
Okay.
Am I to understand that there's about 1.2 million in that classroom site fund that was not spent?
It rolls over.
Because revenue lags behind expenditures, like we get our last checks in after we've made our last payments to staff. So we're always a little bit ahead, like revenue comes in, so we're always having enough in the fund. Because this year we included, it's in their biweekly pays this year.
In other words, we have enough cash in the bank to pay.
Yeah, we just don't want to really
We don't call it that.
We don't really want to say it quite like that because, but it has been very healthy. That's why I highlighted it. It's been very healthy because that has just really helped us. In fact, teachers went from 13,000 last year, like 12,000 for the fund and then 1,000 signing, 13,000 total to 16,500 this year from that fund. And we can do that with it. But it's been very healthy. So we've been rolling forward over $1 million a year. But again, if it dried up or went down, it's a cash-based fund, so the county would shut us down. We have to have cash in the fund to make the expenses.
Okay.
Thank you, Arizona, for having a robust economy.
Any additional questions? This is an action item. If we could get a motion to approve the annual financial reports.
I will approve the financial, annual financial reports.
And a second, please.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to item 10A, this is our first reading of policies 801 to 807. Is there anything, Ms. Daniels, that stands out that we should be aware of for our next meeting?
No, this was very riveting reading, as most policy manuals are.
Okay.
And there's things about, the recommended board self-evaluation, nuances and changes of professional licensing credentialing from the state level, a clarification about who has to be on the curriculum committees that now are subcommittees of the board as of a year ago, things about service animals and administering medications. Pretty much everything in here, when I went through it, it looked like they were just really like cleaning up language that was confusing or not, like a lot of like mumbo jumbo. As they tried to simplify the language. So you see a lot of strikeouts, which primarily are just clarifying language. So that was it.
Any questions or clarifications on this? It is not an action item, just a first reading. All right, then seeing none, I'm going to say good night. See you all next month.
So we have lots of signatures for John. And then if you are interested in going to the winter conference in December, let Becky know because she will be getting those registrations accomplished in the next